Right then, welcome back to the channel. Stephen Howson. 5 things we learned watching Manchester United against Bournemouth at Old Trafford yesterday. Let's get into it. Set plays. Manchester United set-piece defending has been a bit of an Achilles heel all season, and it seems to have really gotten worse since Amarim's arrived. And yesterday against Bournemouth was absolutely no exception. United have now conceded 17 goals from set plays in the Premier League this calendar year, which is the most of any team in the top half of the table. Bournemouth won 67% of aerial duels during the match. A massive contrast. Obviously, United only winning 33% of those. Opening goal, direct result of that mad disparity. Are we missing De Ligt? Someone who's been completely aerially dominant for us all season. Is there something else at play? Is it our patterns, our movements? Bournemouth set plays in that game accounted for 5.8 XG or 0.58 XG, meaning that their set plays alone statistically offered them a significant chance of scoring. And it also indicates United's inability to neutralise those opportunities. You're missing decent players like De Ligt in the back line. The starting 11's average height was only 5'11", which is actually really below the league's average. The likes of Xerxes on the pitch didn't really offer too much. Harry Maguire, usually good in the air, didn't offer too much. Why are United struggling so much with these set plays? And how has this persisted under multiple managers? I have a little bit of sympathy for a new manager coming to a league that's trying to figure out the differences between set plays in Portugal and in the Premier League, because there are differences. But this has just been a problem with Manchester, that we've been poor at taking and defending corners for decades. It's ridiculous. For something that's such a seemingly easy win, it's a matter of a plan and execution on the training ground, and you get this fixed. Listen, lads, the holidays are around the corner. That means 2 things: endless family gatherings and that one uncle asking why you're still not married or got a bird. And you can't control your love life for the most part, but you can control how sharp you look when you tell him to go sling it. Enter Manscaped. It's the latest game changer, and they've got the Chairman Pro electric foil shaver, and it's like the Ferrari of shaves. It's sleek, it's powerful, and it's guaranteed to make your face smoother than the excuses you gave for not giving a +1. Now, go to manscaped.com right now. Use the code Howson. You're going to get 20% off and free shipping. And seriously, if you're still using a rusty trimmer from the Stone Age, I'm judging you, and I'm judging you harshly. There's no need for that. In 2024, nearly in 2025, you can't be shaving your cock and balls with anything other than Manscaped. It's just not right. I'm disappointed in you more than anything. Here's why you need the Chairman Pro in your life. It's got 2 interchangeable skin-safe blade heads. Both of them are going to keep your irritation lower than the tolerance for the political arguments that are bound to ensue this Christmas. The Flex Adjust technology is like having a personal face masseuse. Now, it hugs every single contour of your jaw and your neck, and it's going to make sure that there are no rogue hair surviving. Even that sneaky one that grows just a bit weird under the Adam's apple. It's gone. All of that is gone. It's waterproof. You can use it in the shower, so your missus doesn't complain about getting hair all over the place. It's got a 75-minute battery life. If you need longer than 75 minutes to do your shit, I suggest you go down to the zoo like the rest of the chimps and you don't bother with Manscaped, okay? But if you can do it in less than 75 minutes, like the rest of the human population, then I suggest you go and get yourself a Manscaped, okay? And did I mention it's got an LED spotlight? Have you ever tried shaving in the dark? That's really weird. But you can do it because you've got an LED spotlight. So head over to manscaped.com, use the code Howson, that's HOWSON, get 20% off and free shipping, 20% off plus free shipping, manscaped.com, Howson, sorted. It's in a bit. Self-inflicted. United made life very easy for Bournemouth by gifting them opportunities, which has been a recurring issue in recent matches. Mistakes leading to goals. Mazraoui's penalty was United's 6th error directly leading to a goal this season, which is more than any other team in the Premier League. Shows you how often United are just giving the opposition a chance. There's something called PPDA as well, which is passive per defensive action. The higher the passive per defensive action means the more passive your defending is, the more you allow the opposition to have the ball, the less you sort of engage. The PPDA for that game yesterday was one of our highest of the season. United did not press in that game. It was 14.8 PPDA. Now, For context, you see in the likes of Arsenal and Liverpool, they're averaging around about 9 a season, which means this Bournemouth team had time and space to build without pressure. United made only 12 tackles and 8 interceptions all game, which is a season low for us, just showing the complete lack of intensity out of possession that we had. We gave the ball away 18 times in our defensive third. We basically just allowed Bournemouth to completely recycle possession and create danger time and time again. Why has this team become too passive? And was that some sort of instruction for Amorim? Because that's not been the case. We've pressed with real vigour and intensity since he came in. Does it come down to individual errors? Does it come down to individual players switching off? I mean, I'm going to talk about the sloppiness in the next section, but like even in possession, we were poor. Like, how is it possible that we were poor in and out of possession at the same time across the team? It doesn't make sense. Square pegs, round holes. So this match exposed just how several players are being used in roles that either don't align with their strengths or just they're not up to the scratch of playing in that position. Let's take Tyrell Malacia. Played as the left wing back, a position that requires a technical grounding because you're going to be one of the main outlets in how the team progresses up the pitch. Now, I thought Malacia looked off the pace physically and mentally. He looked nervous. And the only time that he looked like he knew what he was trying to do was when he put a ball into the channel for Bruno to run onto. His link play wasn't good. His control wasn't good. He was only dispossessed 7 times, but it felt like any time the ball came anywhere near him or he was attacked, he just felt like he was a step or two below everyone else. And I thought it was quite the right thing for him to be substituted. Bruno Fernandes operating as both the creative hub and sort of a pseudo box-to-box sort of midfielder. He did have 5 key passes. 28 times Bruno Fernandes lost the ball. He also had 7 shots. Now, I don't mind having some shots, but the amount that were off target or blocked, there wasn't really any threat with Bruno Fernandes' shooting. It was kind of all a little bit obvious, if you know what I mean. Like they were obvious, they were rangy, and they were never really going to trouble the goalkeeper. Better decision-making required from Bruno in that kind of role. Mazraoui had one of the worst games I've seen him play for United. Xerxes didn't feel like he was going to create anything. It just felt dysfunctional from front to back. Onana frustrating the hell out of the crowd with how he was slowing the game down. Now, I felt United have been slower since Amorim's came in. It feels like that's what he wants. He feels like he wants to control the game and just take that sort of intensity down a notch. And I don't know if that's Onana playing to those instructions, but the crowd was getting incredibly frustrated with how long he kind of takes. Xerxes played almost an hour and was involved in 4 completed passes. You know, we have to get the balance of the team right. We have to get players just have to be better than they're showing us. You know, are these struggles down to the players themselves, or is the squad simply not capable of playing the system Amorim wants to play? 2 windows needed. Now, this squad, as we know, lacks the balance and the depth to be able to compete at the top level. Like the idea of this team doing a title challenge just feels so alien. I mean, just look at where we are in the league for starters. When you look at the value of Bournemouth's squad and the value United's starting 11 cost, forgetting some of the players that aren't even like, you know, the likes of Højlund on the bench and what he cost. It just shows the inefficiency that's existed at United for this last decade, maybe even more, in terms of United's recruitment and squad building. Bournemouth signings over the last couple of windows have had an average age of 23. They focus on developing young talent. United's has been a bit older. You know, we've brought in some more experienced players, the likes of Mazraoui, the likes of Onana. But we are skewing players with less development potential in that case. And this is where you find yourselves in a bit of a sticky situation. Ineos came in and said that they wanted to go with that sort of young profile of player that they can build up. Okay, that's fine. But then do you have the patience to allow those players? Do you have the patience to allow, you know, a young striker like Højlund to grow into the stature that's required to be a top Premier League marksman? Or do you need to be competing in the Champions League and therefore you have to go for a 26, 27-year-old striker that's going to cost you 100 million? You know, these are genuine decisions that have to be made, and they have to be made like right now because we're coming into a January transfer window. You know, and that's forgetting some of the money that's been absolutely squandered on the likes of Anthony and Mason Mount just in recent years. We've known United's recruitment policy has been garbage for years. I actually think we had a very good window, the last window, the first one under Ineos. Xerxes aside, I think Mazraoui, I think De Ligt, they've all added. And I think what they've added is really good. Euro as well. You know, I just think we're going to have to... I mean, we're going to be restricted by PSR and FFP going forward. So it's going to be really interesting to see how we navigate that. Europa League or bust. The league form is seemingly in free fall. The Europa League looks like United's only possible... I'm not even going to say realistic because I think it's the only possible route for us to get into the Champions League. And I don't even know if we're good enough for that. You know, we've got basically halfway through the season, and this is the worst it's been in 35 years. We're so far off fourth place. You know, we're so far off catching Bournemouth, Forest. The problem with the Europa League is it's such a long tournament. And, you know, you can come up against some serious football teams that you're just not better than, because there's a lot of teams that we're not better than at the moment. Is that an easier route than trying to grind out, 17 or 18 consecutive results in the Premier League? It might be at the moment, but it feels very much like putting the Euro millions on to pay the rent. Bottom line is results like yesterday are going to really destroy any hope that we had of competing in the Champions League next season. They're also killing any sort of momentum that we might have got with a new manager. And I'm not sure there's obvious fixes. You know, I know that this team is capable of some good performances. I know that this team is capable of even some good passages of play. I saw some great passages of play yesterday. But my worry is what it's been all season. We created enough to have 23 shots yesterday. Yet all we managed was, no goals. That doesn't add up. The lack of goals in this team has been a problem since summer. It hasn't been addressed. And it's showing the case now. Yesterday I did a video. Some people react to headlines on videos. It's very difficult to encapsulate your entire thoughts of a match into 8 to 10 minutes and have a YouTube thumbnail that grabs attention and also explains in depth everything that you're about, all the concepts and ideas and thoughts that you're about to have and the opinions you're about to have in those 10 minutes in 2 or 3 words. It's impossible, right? I stand completely by that. I thought the result yesterday was in part largely down to Amorim. Now, because people are thick and it's the internet, that doesn't mean that I want him sacked. That doesn't mean I am starting a campaign of hate to get him removed from his job. That doesn't mean anything other than that I thought he had a large hand in the result yesterday. In the same way that I praised him after the defeat against Spurs, where I could see he was being proactive and some of the things that he did were very, very positive and beneficial. And I thought after Thursday, I can see this manager being successful at Manchester United because of the things that I saw. That doesn't mean that that's changed. I still can see him being successful at Manchester United. It just means that I can recognise when things have gone wrong. The broad point I was trying to make with the title and the headline that I went for yesterday was I felt he decided to play a rotated 11 against Spurs. That cost us the opportunity of a semi-final. And I felt the reason for him doing that, and I could be completely wrong on this, he might have felt that that was the best available side, and he went with his best available side. I don't believe that to be the case, especially when you don't start Ahmad. But he might have told me otherwise. Now, I believe he rotated. And when he rotated, he gave Spurs a chance. Spurs took that chance and they knocked us out of the cup. And I believe if you're going to rotate for a cup quarter final, you have to win the league game afterwards. And I felt some of the selection and substitutions in the Bournemouth game, in a contrast to some of the substitutions in the Spurs game, weren't good. I don't think the tactical tweaks were there. I don't think the instructions were there. I don't think the continued sort of protection of Bruno Fernandes is fair. I've seen a hell of a lot of criticism from Mainu. I mean, do we do a video on Mainu? I actually thought Mainu was pretty good yesterday. I thought there was sometimes he was sloppy. I thought he had a lot to do once Ugarte went off, which I didn't think was the right decision as well. But I saw a real arrogance to his play at times. I saw him trying things and I'm like, yes, this is what we want. This dude entering into the final third. I don't think there's any stats which dictate what he was doing. But I thought there was a real confidence to his play at times that he's not really had this season because he's been recovering from the injury. You know, football's so much about momentum. He come into the sort of first team setup with momentum from, you know, winning the FA Youth Cup and the performances he was having in the youth team. Well, this might be the first major setback of his career that he's had, playing for a team that's struggling. They've just sacked the manager and he's been injured. Like, and he's a fucking child still. Like, perfectly allow him to come through into the first team and show us what he can do following this injury. Might be worth doing a video on him. But either way, I mean, there's a lot going on, isn't there? Give us your thoughts in the comments anyway. See you in a bit. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.